Utopia says, I'm always wondering why all my female friends are mentally so broken but still in long-lasting relationships with really great men, while someone like me doesn't even get a chance with a great man. Utopia continues, everyone says you need to be happy and self-confident if you want to get a relationship. But when I look at my friends, they are all zero happy or self-confident with themselves. Utopia continues, still in a relationship, they're zero happy and or no confidence with themselves, still in a relationship. Kind of wondering, for me, these arguments sounds like a lie to encourage people who are unhappy with being single. What do you think? I didn't get the last word. Still in a relationship. Kind of wondering. For me, these arguments sounds like a lie to encourage people who are unhappy with being single. I don't understand that. I have a problem understanding that. Could you rephrase that? I understand the rest of your questions, but kind of wondering, for me, these arguments sounds like a lie. Which arguments? These arguments that, what? That they're no good, but they still have good boyfriends or husbands? To encourage people who are unhappy with being single. People always say you need to be happy and self-confident to get in a relationship. It sounds like I see. No, because you don't know what satisfies them. Those people who seem to you they're happy, they may not be happy. You have a vision, you have an image of their life, a snapshot of their image. When you see them with their husband or their boyfriend happy hand in hand, that's a snapshot of their life. They may have just come out of a fight, or they may just be going in and thinking in their heads, God, what can I do to have some alone time? Who knows? But what you're seeing and judging their whole lifestyle with one snapshot of moment or an hour or two that you spend with them, or just the fact that you see them from distance, and you perceive that they're happy because they have, you know, maybe clean clothes on, or properly dressed, or have a smile on, or she's all dewed up. Maybe they're just going to a restaurant and they haven't done that for a while, and they just had a fight, and they are, you know, trying to keep it working. Your perception of what you see doesn't necessarily means your assessment is correct. That's number one. Number two, you don't know what makes somebody happy, because there are some people who are their expectations of happiness, or their understanding of happiness, is in different things. And how do you know what kind of a self-esteem and what do those girls that you think they're all happy and have good men are putting up with? How do you know that's a good man? Just because he's got a good job, or he properly says hello? Maybe he's an asshole in the house. Maybe he's an abuser. Maybe she's just a pleaser. Maybe she's willing to do anything because she has no ability to do anything in her own life on her own, or accomplish anything, and she's willing to be anything and everything in the house or in that relationship in order to keep that man. And maybe the man is a selfish asshole who simply is, you know, being with that girl because she does everything he wants, and he doesn't have to really, you know, be at his best, or consider proper behavior or proper treatment of his girlfriend in that relationship. So there are so many things that you don't know. And at the same time, the fact that people say you got to be in a relationship to be happy is not necessarily true. Because what makes a sure thing that a relationship brings happiness? And two people who go into a relationship to be happy are actually are not doing the right thing, because they should be happy before they go into a relationship. If you go into a relationship hoping that the relationship brings happiness for you, that's a recipe for disaster. Because two people who couldn't be happy on their own, they're now going into a relationship to make each other happy. How well do you think that's going to work? If they could make the other one happy, they could make themselves happy first. They couldn't make themselves happy. Now they're going into a relationship hoping that somebody else who couldn't make herself happy either is going to make him happy, or he's going to make her happy. So you never really know, and at the same time, there's so much excitement and possibilities and opportunities to connect with life and nature when you're alone. Because being alone, as we talked about it in the past, it's got tremendous power and responsibility to it. Tremendous closeness to life and nature, feeling oneness with the nature. Being alone is different than being lonely. Being alone, as we talked about it in the old dictionary, alone, all one, means being all one with the nature, being in harmony with the nature, being one with the source. That's a tremendous confidence and responsibility, happiness in it. So being alone is not bad as long as you know what it is you're accomplishing, or you're offering the society and communities and the world in general, bringing more skills, bringing more things you can learn, more knowledge. All that can only happen if you're alone. You can't really do it as good if you're in a relationship where the two consciousnesses are different and you're trying to battle that out and make sense out of that and comply with the other person's misunderstandings or yours misperceptions of things. And all that makes the relationships really a stumbling block from your personal development in many ways. Both ways can happen. They can nourish each other and become a better version of themselves when they're together, or it could be a hindrance for that goal. So, you got to be in a relationship to be happy is totally false. Many people are in a relationship, they're miserable. And the ones that you think they look happy could be really miserable, or could be just a submissive partner that seems like they have nothing to offer, but in your eyes, they have a good man, and you don't even know if that man is really good or not. You're perceiving her. So you're perceiving that she's happy, and you're perceiving that the guy is a good man. How do you come about that? I'm not saying it's possible that in, two people, they really don't deserve, or they're not really compatible, but yet they have a good life, because simply they are so different and they complement each other. Maybe the woman is very okay with everything, easygoing, or maybe the man just doesn't care and is very easygoing, or maybe they're both just like that. That doesn't really mean that only the women who are highly educated and have a high self-esteem can attract a man who is good. Maybe the man needs that kind of woman. Maybe the men who are actually successful in their life, they don't want another leader in life like themselves. So they want their wife to be someone who can go along as being a co-pilot rather than two pilots. So these are many things that you might want to look into before you think that just because you see a couple and they're having a smile on their face, and the fact that she's not really much, that is not really should be what the guy is looking for. Maybe the guy is looking for a girl who just simply does one part of the role in life and nothing else, and that works for them. So it's not really about what self-esteem they have or whatnot. It's about how they match and what their psyche is all about and how they are compatible. In your case, you follow what is good for you, what makes you comfortable. Be the girl who's got confidence. Be the girl who's selective and looks for a quality in a man, the qualities that you prefer. But at the same time, be reasonable. You know, it's not an army that you want to get somebody, you know, to comply exactly to what you want and to listen to you or do what you want and bring happiness to you. Neither one should come to in a relationship to be happy. They should come into a relationship to simply make a relationship work and help it to grow and grow themselves together. But if you haven't been able to be happy, coming into a relationship hoping that that other person is going to make you happy, it's futile. So I hope that it addressed some of your concern or comments. And and sometimes, you know, the relationship seems to be lasting and you wonder that they're not happy and they're not confident, but the relationship's lasting, is because sometimes when you go too far down into a well, you have no choice but really hanging in there, because there is no more rope to go down. And you don't want to cut the rope to be free because you fall further down. So you're hanging in there and trying to deal with it. You don't know what to do, but you're hanging. So their relationships are just hanging. What doesn't mean they're happy. And sometimes they're so far in it, like they have kids now, they haven't worked for so, the woman hasn't worked for so long, hasn't been self-sufficient for so long, and has been used and conditioned to certain routine and certain order and mechanical process in that life. And suddenly now she comes to senses that I'm not happy, and what is she going to do? She doesn't have any skills, she can't support herself, the children are there, the responsibility of them, and she should now think about her own and let everything go. She decides not. She stays, endures. And so there are many reasons why they stay together, and just because they've stayed together doesn't mean they're happy and staying together. Maybe economic reasons, maybe traditional reasons, maybe customs, maybe they have no other choice. Many reasons. She says, I'm talking about my friends, they're all my friends and they all talk to me. I'm always helping to get their relationships proceeding. Yes. Yeah, well, that isn't normal. There's always going to be some kind of a problem in a relationship. There is no relationship in the world that it's all happy every day. Why? Because the relationship is between two people. And the two people are not just what they look like, because the man could be handsome and the girl could be really pretty and hot, but still they have problems. Why? Because the relationship is not between their physical beings. The relationship is being conducted by their person, their center, their personality, their consciousness, the content of their consciousness. That's where everything is taking place. And if that's not matching, and since we all know the consciousness of two people is always different, so there's bound to be divisions and conflicts. So when you're helping them, it's not like there's really something terribly wrong with them. There's something terribly wrong with almost in every relationship. But to understand that, to know that, to recognize that, it's because the two consciousnesses are having relationship and the two consciousnesses are always different. Therefore, it's normal to have problems. And just because people have problems doesn't mean they should separate, and it doesn't mean that if they have problems they should understand to help each other to resolve it and understand each other's point of view and where they're standing, and that is due to the differences in their conditioning, upbringing, what they've been exposed to, how their consciousness have been put together, what the contents of the consciousness are, how they perceive life. If they're really getting to know each other, do they really know each other, or they just know each other's image? Is this relationship between the two people and the two consciousnesses, physical and mental, Or is it between the image that the girl has of the guy and the image that the guy has of the girl and the image that she has of herself in her own mind and the image that he has of himself in his own mind? Are these images the one who have the relationship? Which is in most cases true. The relationships are between the image that the girl has of herself in her mind and the girl has the image of the guy in her mind, and the same thing with the guy. These two images are having relationships, but in reality they don't really know each other. That's why in the long run, eventually the images cannot grow, cannot continue relationship. It's limited, it's not known, it's not clear, it doesn't create the bond, because the real person who is playing these puppets is in the consciousness, and they eventually show their unhappiness, differences, divisions, conflicts, and everything falls apart. So the whole idea is to try to get to know each other while you are all excited about each other through physical contacts and interest and initial interest, and use that time to get to know each other in consciousness level, and then see where you can bond. That is where there's a chance for relationships to to be successful, at least more than if not. In my circle of my friends, they are all in a relationship with each other, and I'm good with all of them. Yeah, okay. And she says, I'm wondering why the partner still stays and why I'm not able to get a relationship while I'm happy and self-confident. The German language showed itself finally. You couldn't keep that away. Und relationship while I'm happy und self-confidence. Ja. Wunderbar. Well, well, you know, I guess we can go into that very deep, and it could be a long conversation, but I cut it short. Just hint on it. You really haven't found your match. It should be someone who appreciates who you are, and you can be comfortable with who you are with that person. It just hasn't happened yet. It doesn't mean it's not out there. It just hasn't happened yet. You haven't met that person. And I guess it just remains to be seen. But definitely your match exists out there. Sometimes maybe you're so comfortable and having a good lifestyle by yourself that you may think you want a relationship, but you actually don't, because you know what other things could be involved in there, and you kind of don't give them a chance. Perhaps you're looking for a real perfect relationship. That's why you don't give anybody a chance. As soon as you see there's something there that you don't like, you disqualify it. So perhaps you may stop perceiving that person and judging it enough that you see there's enough there to meet your standards, basic standards, and then let the rest of him grow by getting to know that person. And perhaps you will be surprised that what you thought is not going to be a real match is actually turns out to be a really good match, because each person is dynamic, and different people would be able to read the other person and comply and modify their behavior or themselves and want to work it, and then chisel out a good relationship or good candidate to be in a relationship with that woman, with you. So maybe you should just bring your nose a little bit lower and settle for something that is not already perfect, and then together try to you know, cut each other and shine and make a diamond out of that rough diamond. If you're waiting for the perfect match to come, you may disqualify every man that comes along, because they each, you know, and also in this day and age that everybody is looking to prove something, that, you know, just because you say, I'm not saying you, but some women say, just because I'm a woman, therefore it doesn't mean that, you know, he can do this or that, or command this or command that, or expect this. So you, from the outset, you're trying to kind of express an opinion and make a statement, and you think you're showing yourself, but in fact you're just trying to show that he can't step on you, and that's fine. But you can do it in a way that it will be workable. In other words, not scare somebody off when they haven't really done anything yet. So perhaps you can deal with that together in a relationship than setting out such hard standards right off the bat that scares the other person off, and wouldn't even have a chance to get to know each other and compromise and find out how you can actually round up the sharp edges. Perhaps that would be something that you might want to consider. I'm not saying that's your case, but I'm just saying. All right. Utopia says, men never are interested in me. They always take the broken girls. Well, some men don't want strong women, and that's neither here nor there. It's just that some men are, and you may be focusing on that kind of men. You focus on a healthy-minded man who is confident enough that would appreciate your confidence. But then don't try to be confident with each other, too confident with each other. Just be normal around each other, and keep your confidence and snub nose, or, you know, hard nose, you know, toughness and roughness with the outside world. But when you get to each other, try to, you know, compromise and, you know, be flexible towards each other, both of you, when you find that partner of yours. Utopia says, I know it sounds mean, but most of the time only the loser are interested in me. The ones without a job for many years, being fat, playing video games without any self-esteem. That's frustrating. Well, you're looking in the wrong places, because there are lots of men who appreciate being ambitious and working on themselves, and you know, trying to turn themselves better version of themselves, and learning things, researching things, being interested in things, and having good careers as well. I think you just haven't come across them, because just like you, a woman who's confident and has got a good career and looking for high quality personalities, they're also out there as well. You can't say all women are just all something to write home about. There are lots of losers and assholes in women as well, and there are lots of losers and assholes in men as well. But among both, there are lots of good guys, qualified, and there are lots of wonderful women, qualified in every way or shape. In shape, pretty, generous, intelligent, educated, good head on their shoulders, and the same thing in the men's corner. So don't lose hope at all.